This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Good afternoon. This is the Tuesday, February 18th meeting of the EDIC, Easthampton Development Industrial Commission. Cassie, I don't think we got minutes, did we?
I'm going to be straight up with you guys. I've lost 2 dogs in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
I am not coping well, and I am behind on life. So
no problem. No problem. Those minutes can wait till next meeting.
Montana won't be sitting in your yard anymore.
Do you need, I was going to say, do you need to borrow Ollie? Like, I can just drop her off. She's good at smuggling.
No, thank you. I miss my own girls.
We can hold off on minutes, Cassie. Don't worry about it.
Thanks.
Public speak. I don't see anyone out there. Gwen, I don't know that you do. So there's no one out there for public speak. I did have, so I apologize for my technology issues last meeting, but I did have a chance to go back to listen to the rest of the meeting and the discussion you had with Allison. I did check with the city clerk, and believe it or not, there's not a lot of direction in open meeting law about what happens when you open a meeting with a quorum and then lose the quorum during the meeting. So her suggestion was to do exactly what you all did, is continue the meeting, if you wish, with discussion without taking any votes. So that's going to be our protocol going forward. If we lose a quorum during the meeting, we'll simply continue with discussion with no votes. And I joked about, because I saw you all saying, wait a minute, we can't take a vote to adjourn. And she said, you just leave the meeting. You just say goodbye and you leave. So that's what we'll do. Hopefully we never run into that again.
We just fade away into the woodwork. We just just turn around and walk away. Got it.
Excuse me, Tom. Who's Allison?
The city planner.
Okay, great. Thanks. Oh, I forgot. Right.
So, Cassie, I might table that other item too that you were going to work on.
Yeah.
Putting materials together. We'll put that forward to next month.
Okay, thank you.
One thing, Dave Kutcher, that I thought I heard Allison refer to, where she was talking about the possibility of some wayfinding. I might not have this totally accurate, but some money that might be available for wayfinding for the Mill District.
Yeah, I was going to follow up if she was going to be in the meeting today, because I thought I heard that too. From what it sounds like is that the project was started under our previous city planner or town planner, and that there even was allocated money or grant money that was collected already for that, and then the project just kind of petered out. So I'd be curious to see if it can be restarted, which would be spectacular. But yeah, like I think we would need to have her on a call to figure out where that is. Okay.
I don't expect her to attend every meeting, but I can definitely invite her to the March meeting, and we can try to circle back with that about the wayfinding if there's money available. I guess my question to you though, or to the marketing group that you're working with is, could they somehow brainstorm where would they want that wayfinding to go? Where would they want to try to create a quote unquote main entrance to the rear of the mills, if you could?
Rather than try to recreate the wheel, I would love to see where the project currently is, because I have a feeling that that project was they already went through those hoops already. I have a feeling that they identified what they were going to do, and if they're that far along, I would rather move along than restart a process.
Okay, we could definitely have her update us on that next month. I'll ask her for that.
Not to jump too far out of order, and I'm sorry if I'm getting ahead. Just I need to get going shortly. Two things that I found really interesting. I got a slight reprimand from the liquor board because even though we were serving wine as galleries often do at gallery openings, apparently we all need to have liquor licenses, 1-day liquor licenses for gallery openings that wine is being served at. Nobody can answer the question whether I would need to have one liquor license for the event or whether each establishment in the building would need to have its own liquor license. And it seems a bit exorbitant for it to be $100 per location.
So Dave,
along-
my
What?
experience with that when we were getting when we were serving alcohol at church events, which by the way, alcohol and church go together pretty well.
Mhm.
I could be dead wrong. This could have changed, but I was under the impression that if you were, let me back up for a moment. We did this also at bank events where we held events in the lobby of a new branch opening up, and we would serve beer and wine.
Mhm.
It was my understanding that we did not need any kind of license if we were not selling it, if we were giving it away.
Incorrect.
Okay,
So
Rules changed.
the rules
yeah,
changed.
apparently anytime that the public is invited, you need to have a liquor license.
Interesting.
So if it was a private event, that would be different. But anytime the public is welcome to come in, you need a liquor license. Secondary to that, so Push for Joy is a food cart that has taken up residence on Fridays in Eastworks. And apparently, coffee stands are not considered food trucks. At which point she has to get a totally different license that she has to renew, I think every month or every quarter. Whereas if she was a food truck, she would only have to pay a one-time license per year of like $100 instead of, and I could be wrong with the numbers, like $50 per month to do a coffee bar.
Interesting.
Who knows why they're different, but apparently they're different. I would
So
love
they
to
haven't-
figure out who that we talk to about these special event liquor licenses, special event food licenses, because honestly, it's ridiculous.
There is a licensing board. I just don't know who's on it. And
Yeah,
I don't,
couldn't find it either.
what's that? You couldn't find it?
I tried to find who the contacts were and I couldn't find the contacts on the website.
Who's the city councilor for that area, Dave?
I think Felicia is the new one, the new city councilor.
Okay. I don't know if we want to saddle her with it, but
I know her. I could saddle her with it.
all right. Yeah. Why don't you start with her, and at least she might maybe give us an opportunity to make a name for herself if she can try to figure this out and help out the businesses. You know, maybe there's a possibility the mill owner could get one permit that covers everybody in the mill if there's a special event and multiple locations are serving beer or wine.
Right. So, I mean, Eastworks already has liquor licenses, but I think it's each individual unit
Right.
has to have it, which is ridiculous.
Why don't you reach out to her, Dave, and see
Sure.
what you come up with and then let us know.
Will do.
I just had a couple other questions about the mill. Is there access to Eastworks from the rear?
Yeah. So there's two entrances. One is by daily operation, and the
Okay.
other. No, there's sorry. There's three from the rear. One is daily operation. Right next, there's a door next to daily operation. One is a door that leads into Prodigy. And then there's another one that's right when you come down the side and you go under that overpass thing. And there's a mural by Kim Carlino. And that's right by one of the freight elevators.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I've always gone in the front
Yep.
entrance, but okay,
Yeah, there's three entrances on the back that I know of. And then there's three on the front. Yeah, 3 on the front.
Okay. If you can circle back or follow up with her, see what she says, and she'll dig into it and get back to you, I'm sure, before our next meeting.
Yeah, you got it.
I only had one other, I actually had 2 other things, but one of them I don't know that we necessarily want to dive into, but Allison had mentioned Mission Cantina was requesting the zone change, I believe, for, you know, their unique location there tucked in on Cottage Street, and they're looking to put up a permanent canopy, I guess, instead of the tables with umbrellas that they use. And I don't know if you all were able to determine from her comments if they were running into any problems with that, or they were just in the process of applying for some sort of waiver on zoning to be able to put that up.
I don't remember. I remember walking away from that going, boy, that's confusing. We could look back at the tape, I suppose, but
I did, Gwen, and I know she said the issue was the setback requirements, and if you had to comply with the setback requirements, you'd be putting up a long skinny canopy that would fit 2 people maybe. But
right.
I can follow up with her on that one. Then I wasn't sure if you all heard anything different than what I might have, but I can follow up with her and just see if they're having any issues with the zone change, and if there's
Wouldn't that come before the zoning board?
Yes.
I haven't seen any notification come out about that.
Okay, so maybe they're just in the early stages.
Yeah.
Okay, I can follow up with her on that. And the other one that is a can of worms, I'm not even sure we want to open. I floated the idea with Jeff Bagg. It didn't go very far, but as you know, there's an issue, and I don't know how you folks feel about it one way or the other. There's an issue with, not an issue, there's a restriction in Easthampton that you cannot have first floor living spaces in the business district. And just for a bit of history, that was born out of a property owner on Cottage Street who back in the 80s, I believe, slapped up a bunch of T111 board and created apartments in some of the storefronts, and it looked like heck. And the city, the town at the time, in its infinite wisdom to try to stop that, passed an ordinance that you could not have any first floor living quarters in the business district. So it put an end to anyone else converting their storefronts to apartments. And I don't disagree with that. However, I've had several developers over the years that said that should be considered to be loosened up for new construction, meaning if I'm building a new building, that I can make it look presentable and look like it would be nice apartments on the first floor. Why wouldn't you allow it? And what brought this back up in my mind was the building going up in the former Hurry and Scurry site. So that's going to have 1 or 2 storefronts in a place where there's virtually no parking. And the only thing they've got going for them is the owner of the building going up is also the owner of the plaza. So he's probably thinking people can park over there. But what kept going through my mind was, wouldn't that have been an ideal place for apartments on the first floor, as opposed to 2 more storefronts that someone's trying to rent?
Yeah, we had long conversations about that at the time.
So I didn't know if we wanted to, if there was any interest in going down that path again with the planning board. Is it a, I don't want to say fight, but is it a position we want to take? Is it, do we stay away from it? What's your feeling?
With the Walgreens closing on Union Street, I'm interested in that topic.
So potentially having the Walgreens be converted to apartments?
I mean, look at all the parking it's got.
Exactly.
The well-protected, don't anybody park here who isn't shopping in Walgreens or Subway or the Chinese spot.
The exact wording of the existing ordinance, Tom, is it strictly like absolutely nothing on the first floor, or is it specifically that all first floor business district have to have a storefront? Meaning, like, let's say you had could you actually subdivide the first floor where the street facing is a storefront business, but the rear could be a apartment? You know what I'm saying? So that you're keeping the facade, but you can leverage first floor square footage as residential.
Yeah, I believe, Dave, that's a change that was made recently to try to loosen this up a little bit, where they were looking at artists who could potentially create living space behind their gallery, if you will. I just think, again, it requires me to have some sort of business that does sell art, let's say, and I'm going to live behind it. And I just wonder if that lends itself to people trying to do that and say they have a gallery and it's open 1 hour a month, but
right.
yet, and then they have a place to live. I don't know. I just hope that we're not forcing the city to create more empty storefronts.
I think we just need a hardware store on Union Street.
That's a great point. Let's bring them back.
Let's bring it back.
I think, well, so this seems like a time when we should talk with / do research on other local communities, local-ish, and find out the extent to which they deal with this. Like, does Northampton have something like this? Does Greenfield? I'm interested.
Yeah, I think when we could definitely ask that. I think a town like Greenfield City, if you will, lends itself more to that, like Easthampton, rather than thinking of a main street in Easthampton and a main street in Northampton.
Yeah.
But
maybe hold on. Well, Market Street in Northampton is still part of the business district, and people do live on the first floor. There's a number of units there there's a house that's there, like not Main Street, but Market Street.
Right.
If you think back there,
combination of business and residential. But
right,
Gwen, you bring up a great point about Walgreens. I hadn't even thought about that, and I guarantee the owners are trying to find a way to replace that revenue. That's got to be a big nut every month that Walgreens paying on a lease, and that's going to go away next month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey guys, sorry, I got a book, but I will follow up on the stuff you signed me, and I'll let you know.
Thanks.
Appreciate it, Dave. Thanks.
Thanks,
Bye,
Dave.
Yep, bye.
So on those 3 or 4 items, I'll have a conversation with Allison, and some we're looking for answers quicker than others, but on the downtown business first floor living space, I can ask her if that's a road we should try to drive down.
Yeah.
And see how it hits her. She might be able to privately poll the planning board members just to see what their take might be on it.
Mm-hmm.
I know Jesse fairly well, the chair of the planning board. I could bump into him and ask him his thoughts on something like that.
Okay.
And now that you bring up the Walgreens thing, Gwen, I think maybe they need to stay away from a blanket thing. Like right now it says none. And I was thinking, why not for new construction? But then that would eliminate the Walgreens potential project.
Yeah.
So maybe it needs to be more of a case by case.
Yeah.
For them to be open to the possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's probably the better way to go. And because in my mind, as you started talking about this, I was picturing the work that MGM did in order to, originally that casino was going to be a, mirrored glass tower like every other one across the country. And City of Springfield made part of the requirement being that they had to build a facade that matched the look and feel of the south end of Springfield. And they basically designed that entire hotel to have a facade that made it look like anything other than a traditional casino.
Yeah.
I could see the potential for a creative, entrepreneur who wants to put up a residential building to perhaps approach the city and say, we could do a faux business, facade on the lower level. To your point, you can even do an old fashioned, do a nice plate glass window, put a, Dwyer's Florist on it. Just pick a name. And it's like, it's not actually even her business. It's just a facade. It'd be the Disneyfication of Easthampton, but it would work. It would fit in with the community.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we already have the Vonam Eye Care storefront that isn't going to sell you eyeglasses.
right? Or Hurry and Scurry for the last 30 years, for that matter. Yeah.
I'm not
we're
sure,
getting
Glenn,
junkies there.
I'm not sure about the massage place on Main Street next to that one. I don't know that I've ever seen. I see an open sign, but I'm not sure I've ever seen a human being come in or out of that building.
Yeah.
And I think that's Jack Moriarty's. Sorry, Jack, if you're listening. That's Jack Moriarty's way around the empty storefront ordinance.
Yeah.
Put up a sign.
Well, didn't we write something into the ordinance about that?
I'm not sure. I think it said if it was empty, it needed to be actively marketed.
Yeah.
But right now, when you look at those two storefronts, you would assume there's a business there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Lasai. I'm also wondering, because I think I saw him on Friday night, but didn't want to interrupt. I think I saw Paul St. Pierre. I wonder if Paul has any developed thoughts about this now that he's in this regional work. I imagine that it's extremely niche, and he's like, I don't know about that stuff anymore, but maybe he might have a useful thought.
Are you in touch with him, or could you?
I can be quite easily.
And the thought is about the, which thought are you thinking running by him?
If we were going to address our no residential on the first floor in the business district, what would your first thought be?
Okay.
Given that we've got a couple of circumstances where it's starting to feel like we've got plenty of store frontage and not enough places to live.
Right. If you don't mind doing that, Gwen, if you bump into Paul or can drop him an email or whatever, see what his feeling is about it.
Sure.
And I'll talk to Allison about it, and we'll meet back in the middle.
Okay. Can do.
Anything else anyone would like to discuss only?
Just a quick update on the Chamber of Commerce. As I announced a couple months ago, Mo Beliveau, the executive director, announced her retirement, which is going to occur effective May 1st. So we've got our active search going for a new executive director. We received resumes from over 20 some odd candidates. We're in the midst of the first interviews this week. We picked out a list of 5 kind of initial best targets with 4 alternates. We'll only contact the second 4 if any in the first 5 kind of wash out. But I can tell you, we ran the first 2 phone interviews immediately prior to this call, and both went pretty well. So I think it's nice to see the breadth of applicants, both from the greater Hampshire County region, but also we received some interesting candidates who were interested in this region from outside the area, which was interesting to see as well.
Nice.
That see the potential of the area. So more to come on that front, but our goal is to hopefully have a new ED in place in April so that they can cross over for at least a couple of weeks before Mo moves on to retirement. So full steam ahead on that front.
That's great news, Dave. I think that bodes well for both the chamber and the city. That's something that many folks are interested. That's great.
Yeah, like I said, the diversity of the candidates was outstanding, and not all folks that have worked specifically in that sort of a role before, but that would bring interesting perspectives out of their, with the career path that they would bring to the position. So we'll see where it lands.
Anything else?
This is an unbaked thought, but the most recent zoning board transmittal I got from Dylan I didn't forward because it didn't pertain immediately to the work that we've been doing. And when it does, and it's about like affordable housing or how, some kind of larger construction, I will forward it to the group. But there's an issue related to whether a person is meeting requirements around rental housing, like short-term rentals, like Airbnb / bed and breakfast style. And it reminded me of days of yore when we were having conversations. Chris Korzik was a part of those conversations about, should we think about, do we need ordinances about Airbnb style housing in the city? This was probably coinciding with our ADU thinking, but ADU by right. We didn't want to build an ordinance that would turn a bunch of new housing into Airbnbs and effectively render that new housing not useful to current residents. So as I said, unbaked thought. I might go back to that and see if that's a thing that is worth attending to. I don't know that Easthampton is a place where people are constantly coming to use an Airbnb, and I am really thoughtful about the ways in which rental housing and Zillow and similars takeover of private home sales can be a threat to the ability to own a home, to buy a home at all, to rent an affordable unit. So it's a part of a bigger, I would describe it now as a thought spiral that swirls about in my mind every once in a while. So I'm going to think a little more about that.
Gwen, is that related at all? I saw something in the legal notices about someone receiving a cease and desist order from the zoning board. That's related to that?
Yeah.
And what were they? I don't recall the background. Were they operating a B&B?
They're not operating a B&B to my knowledge. I didn't look at all of the documents. It's not completely clear from the response, but it seems like she's got family staying there sometimes. And possibly sometimes people are there who are not her family, but they're not paying to stay there. So it's not like we're not exchanging currency for services. It's like a loan of a place, but it's not the owner being there all the time. So I think it's possible that neighbors are perceiving this to be a different kind of thing. It's unclear to me.
So somehow they're out of compliance with zoning and somebody dropped a dime.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Interesting.
Or they're not out of compliance at all. And they're just like, look, I loan my place to people sometimes and they don't pay me. Is that the same as a bed and breakfast? I don't think so. I pay money to go to a bed and breakfast.
But if they got a cease and desist, something's
right. I think I read the response letter, and their response was, "You allege that I'm doing these things, and I'm not doing these things."
Okay. So you're going to put your thoughts together on that, and
yeah, I feel like there's something to look into related to the idea of Airbnbs in general, short-term rental housing, the extent to which I don't know, like I don't know where we would find stats for this specific to Easthampton or specific to Hampshire County, but given that we're a town that doesn't have a hotel, there was a lot of this conversation when Sierra Vista was getting talked about and all that. Is there something that we need to say from a zoning or legal perspective about what we will and will not allow what otherwise looks like private housing to be operated as?
right? Yeah, and I'm not sure based on current zoning what's currently allowed to be done with your home.
Right.
I mean, could you, if you were going to go to Florida for 6 months, could you let a friend stay at your house and if they wanted to pay all the utilities and whatever? I mean, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, exactly. So this is what I think this particular person was responding to. I think that it ends up being that possibly a neighbor was like, "What's happening over here?"
Yeah. I'm making a note. I do know the chair of the zoning board. I can just have a casual conversation with him about what's up and what were the triggers and what have you, and
Yep.
see what he can tell me.
Cool.
I can circle back with that maybe before the next meeting.
Great.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we need to just leave.
Just leave everyone.
Next
That's right.
meeting is March 18th.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.